Hey there, pizza lovers! Today we're diving into the world of homemade pizzas. Whether you're craving a crispy thin crust, a hearty deep dish, or a classic pan style, I've got you covered. We'll walk through everything from dough prep to that final mouth-watering slice, so grab your aprons and let's get our hands flurry. Let's start with the foundation of any great pizza, the dough. For our thin crust, we're going for a crispy, almost cracker-like base. Mix together 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast in a large bowl. Slowly pour in 1 cup of warm water and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, mixing until it forms a shaggy dough. Now, here's where the fun begins. Get your hands in there and knead that dough for about 10 minutes until it's smooth and elastic. For our deep dish dough, we're adding a bit more fat to create that signature flaky texture. Use the same base recipe as the thin crust, but increase the olive oil to 1/4 cup and add 1/4 cup of melted butter. This dough will be softer and more pliable, perfect for pressing into a deep dish pan. Now, for our pan-style pizza, we're going for a thicker, chewier crust. Use the thin crust recipe, but add an extra 1/2 cup of flour and increase the water to 1/4 cups. This will give us a dough that's sturdy enough to hold up to lots of toppings, but still has that satisfying bite. All right, now for the fun part, stretching the dough. For our thin crust, we're going to get a bit fancy. Dust your work surface with flour and place your dough ball in the center. Using your fingertips, gently press the dough outwards, creating a flat disc. Now here's where we slow things down. Pick up the dough and drape it over your knuckles. Slowly rotate your hands, letting gravity do the work. You'll see the dough start to stretch and thin out. This is where we'd insert that slow motion shot. It's pizza-making poetry in motion. For the deep dish, we're keeping it simple. Press the dough into a well-oiled deep dish pan, making sure to work it up the sides. Don't worry if it springs back a bit. That's just the gluten doing its thing. For the pan style, we're going to use a similar technique, but in a regular pizza pan or baking sheet. Now, let's talk sauce. For our thin crust, we want something light that won't weigh down our delicate base. In a small saucepan, heat 1 tablespoon of olive oil over medium heat. Add 2 cloves of minced garlic and cook until fragrant. Pour in a 14-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, and a pinch of salt. Simmer for about 15 minutes until it thickens up a bit. For our deep dish, we're going chunky. Use the same base as the thin crust sauce, but swap the crushed tomatoes for diced. Add a tablespoon of tomato paste for extra richness. This hearty sauce can stand up to the thick crust and generous toppings. Pan-style pizza calls for a classic marinara. Start with the thin crust base, but add a tablespoon of sugar to balance out the acidity. Let it simmer for a good 30 minutes to really concentrate those flavors. Toppings time. For our thin crust, less is more. We don't want to overload that delicate base. Try a classic margarita with fresh mozzarella, basil leaves, and a drizzle of good olive oil. Or go for a white pizza with ricotta, garlic, and spinach. Deep dish is where we can really go wild. Start with a layer of mozzarella right on the crust. This acts as a barrier to keep the crust crisp. Then add your sauce, some Italian sausage, bell peppers, onions, and a sprinkle of Parmesan. Remember, with deep dish, the sauce goes on top of the cheese. For pan style, we're striking a balance. Start with a layer of sauce, then add mozzarella, pepperoni, mushrooms, and green peppers. Feel free to customize. That's the beauty of homemade pizza. Now let's talk baking. For our thin crust, we want that oven cranked up as high as it'll go. We're talking 500 to 260 if possible. Place a pizza stone or an inverted baking sheet in the oven while it preheats. Slide your topped pizza onto the hot surface and bake for about 10 to 12 minutes, or until the crust is golden and the cheese is bubbly. Deep dish needs a bit more time and a lower temperature. Preheat your oven to 425 to 220 and bake for about 25-30 minutes. You might need to cover the top with foil towards the end to prevent the cheese from burning. Pan style falls right in the middle. Bake at 450 degree, 230 degree for about 15 to 20 minutes. Keep an eye on that crust. We want it golden and crispy, not burnt. As your pizza bakes, your kitchen will fill with the most amazing aroma. It's like being transported to a little pizzeria in Naples. When that timer dings, resist the urge to dive right in. Let your pizza rest for a few minutes. This will make it easier to slice and prevent any mouth-burning cheese incidents. For the thin crust, a pizza wheel will give you those perfect, crispy slices. With deep dish, you'll want a sturdy knife to cut through all those layers. Pan style can go either way. Use whatever you've got on hand. Now, here's a pro tip for you. If you've got leftover dough, don't toss it. Pizza dough freezes beautifully. Just portion it out, wrap it tightly in plastic wrap, and pop it in the freezer. Next time you're craving pizza, you'll be halfway there already. And there you have it, folks. 3 delicious homemade pizzas, from thin and crispy to thick and cheesy. Remember, making pizza is as much about the process as it is about the end result. Don't stress if your first attempt isn't perfect. Even wonky pizzas taste amazing when they're homemade. So what are you waiting for? Get in that kitchen and start tossing some dough. And hey, if you end up with flour all over your face and sauce on your shirt, just consider it the mark of a true pizza chef. Happy baking, everyone!